A lot of people take a one-dimensional approach to business and life, honestly. But what I've found from working with experts in their field, whether it's mastering for Lil Wayne or recording people like Hanson or anyone else that I've worked with, it is that true expertise is actually holistic. On Clint's podcast, I explain my background and how it ultimately contributed to a more holistic approach to business and how that led me to our success in making millions in the info space.
A lot of people in California, as they say, they're not religious, they're spiritual, not religious. I'm religious, not spiritual. So everything I do is through this like spiritual religious lens or whatever. So it's something deep to my core. And dude, honestly, it was absolutely, I wouldn't say rock bottom, but I never planned for after this before I sold, basically. I sort of looked at myself when I was 15, 16, 17. Like you said, signed up for the journey, didn't have the end goal. And as also, like you said, I sort of discovered all these things along the way. It's not like I saw the end goal and then clearly knew it. Now I can and I have, and I can help other people think differently before they start that journey. But I didn't plan out to this. I thought that I would just be like in music somehow, making some money, buying a house, and then dying at a ripe old age and like passing down a house to my son or something. That's all that I really thought I would do.
Would actually be pretty cool.
That's pretty sick. Yeah. What else do you really need?
Yeah.
That's it, right? Like, why do all these people think they need all this money? You don't really need how much does the guy really need?
You beat the game.
Yeah, exactly. But like everything is, oh man, I did that times a bajillion in my mind. I was like, okay, I built this business that's all centered around what I love, bought all this real estate and did all this and bought my dream apartment in New York and got a vacation house here and blah, blah, blah. And I have a sick car, all these stupid things, right? And I'm doing all this, I have all this free time. I like hang out with my family. I'm teaching like Sunday school. Like I'm just awesome, right? Yeah. Well, it's not that awesome. So what ended up happening was it appears awesome, but as you said, like we are very simple human beings, right? We're not that complicated. And I think that the way that you mature in life isn't just through knowledge, it's through wisdom. And wisdom like transcends money. So a lot of folks making a lot of money doesn't mean that they're wise. Those wisdom pieces always come down to very simple things in life that require your will or your actions. And we become foolish, I think, when you listen to that simple calling or wisdom that you need to follow and you just ignore it and then puff up your mind or your heart or emotions or all that stuff. But like wisdom comes from you just got to do this one difficult thing and then you do it. So for me, it was I like spent all this time getting out of the company because that's what I had to do. All these bankers are saying you got to remove key man risk, diversify your client acquisition strategy, have multiple products, annually recurring revenue, move your team, all this nonsense. Hired all these lawyers, accountants to get us there. Once I lost myself in that. Once I was out, the business was running, and this was before I sold. So there's a difference between exiting your business and selling your business. I exited the business way before I sold it. So I'm sitting there with cash flow and a business and not much to do. And that's by design. And then going out looking for somebody to buy it or whatever, getting to the point where I exited, I went to go buy an apartment in New York City with a business loan of the business that I was running. So it was just all that I did was try to get this apartment, right? So I exited, didn't sell, had 6 months to try to buy this place, bought the place. I sold the company and bought the apartment within a week.
Oh, wow.
So lots of stuff happened
in a very short time.
Boom, exactly. Yeah. And it just came to a cliff, fell off, and all I had was what I wanted, and that wasn't enough.
What is that feeling once you've already accomplished that, you've sold everything, and now, what is that?
It's the worst feeling ever. People don't believe this, but it's true. You hear this from everybody. Everybody who sells their company. It's like the worst part of their life is right after. And it's not because you miss working or any of that stuff. It's because it's deeply spiritual. It's connected to who we are. And what you wanted was freedom. You got freedom. Turns out freedom is only good if you have freedom to pour into others. It's really bad if you have freedom to pour into yourself. That's basically hell, as far as I'm concerned. Like the deepest, coldest, hottest part of hell, if you keep going, gets really cold and it's just you. So I think people experience that a little bit, and I experienced that.
That's going to get not just boring. It's like the only thing you can do is give to others.
Yeah, it damages your soul, and it gets so tainted. And I think that's why lots of folks say, oh, I'm just going to love my family and all that. But that's great. But even then, you can go at business again, like what I'm trying to do now, and not think about myself. Like, how do I just actually serve other people? There's some people who've gone from nihilism to existentialism and stoicism and all this that have been able to massage their soul in a way where they can help people and also help themselves. And it's this nuanced like way of doing business. You become whoever you need to be. I by no means can empty myself like that. The simple way that I see it is like just serve others. Will the good of the other for the other reason. And it's not that I don't want to do business again. It's just I am not going to do business the way that I did it before, where I thought I was serving others, but really I was chasing after serving myself.
Oh, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm just trying to do that bigger and better again, but like actually serving other
Yeah.
people.
What wisdom would you say like you've gotten on your journey?
Yeah, all you get is what you want, and what you want is the wrong thing. So I can say that from experience for sure. Like getting into your 30s and be able to do what I did and then feeling empty. You hear that and it sounds like such an obvious like sob story that everybody tells, but it's actually true. And when I sort of realized what I was doing, it was deeply tied to my spirituality, like what I believed about the world, all that stuff. All of that stuff that got me to there was all personal and all internal, right? Like the leverage thing, I could trace back to like my view on scarcity of money. The time thing, I could trace back to feeling worn out in the studio, all these other things. And it ultimately, once I fell off the cliff, I got everything I wanted and then I'm done. I just felt myself in that. And I realized that my body and everything, it was catching up to where I was. And I was feeling things that were way lagged, which was, oh, I'm running away from lots of stuff. I haven't evolved as a leader. I was running away from that. I was so afraid of this with money. So I got to do this. And all of those things caught up with me. And that's a depressing place to be. I was wallowing in it. So then what I thought was the cure was to like approach college, the new company, with, okay, I'm going to do this again, but smarter. So that's where we had the big team and everybody was, I'm above everything. It's what you said when you were like going back to editing videos or something. And if that's what the client needs, you're going to do it. I was like above it all. I'm not going to do all this. And I've evolved. I shouldn't have to write a single email. I shouldn't have to get on a sales call again. What a bunch of nonsense. That didn't work. Yeah. It worked and it like failed because it wasn't true to myself. So I was still even running away from that. So ultimately the through line through all of it is like pride, ego, arrogance, vanity, all that stuff. Things that seem to be selfless, things that seem to be putting out goodwill to the world. It's all that stuff. It's not. It's like ultimately self-interest, ultimate pride, ultimate ego. So I had to like look that in its face. And for my wife to be like, you're done wallowing. You need to move on. Actually tap into who you are. Stop throttling that. Stop operating out of fear. But the thing that got me there was all these fears that I had was also my superpower to get there.
Oh, man.
So even like Barbara Corcoran, that gal on Shark Tank, the reason why I do what I do is because everybody thought I was dumb. And so like my mission in the world is to prove everybody that I'm not dumb. It's this deep insecurity. That's what I'm getting at. It's like your superpower is all that fear and insecurity. But what if there was a world where you just turned around and looked at it and said, like, I'm going to let go of that. And maybe I can have enough faith to like continue in life without that vice and all that fear, all that insecurity. But that takes a lot of faith because what got you to where you are was all that stuff. So now you're operating off of an economy that you haven't cultivated. Those muscles aren't there. And you actually have to just look into yourself and go, who the heck am I? Yeah. But once you do that, people connect. Yeah. People are like, damn, like I'm connected to you. And now there's a lot of power and leadership there. Now it's, if you actually want to manipulate people in a certain way, in a bad way, now you actually can because they're connected to you. Now the leadership call is greater. Now it's because of that power and that connection you have, you actually need to truly love the other person and be a good steward because you realize the connection you have. So that's the thing that I'm exploring now. And any advice would be, I promise you that through line, everybody deals with pride. Everybody deals with vanity and arrogance and all that stuff. The only solution I've found is to stop running away from all those things that you think are your superpowers. That'll only get you so far. And face them head on, be curious about them, ask why. And then ultimately, at least for me, I have to look outside of myself. Like what's higher than me? What's transcendent above me that totally is otherworldly even? And then the last thing is the only way I can see my way forward in a way that's more holistic is to truly love other people. And the definition that I've found that's been really helpful is loving is willing the good of the other for the other. There's no weird enlightened self-interest in there. There's no like any other motives. It's just truly willing the good of the other for the sake of the other. And now I can step into a leadership position and grow an even bigger company with more cash flow and all this stuff. But now I'm actually loving people through it. That's the spiritual, religious kind of element that I'm wrestling with right now.